Hi, everybody. This is Andy from Andy's Licorice Talk. Thank you so much for joining us on our 14th episode. You might notice that this is a little bit special for a few reasons. First of all, we have it broadcast on YouTube now. Okay, so you can check it on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe, Andy's Licorice Talk. Just subscribe to that YouTube channel, and you can also watch it from here. And also, please like our Facebook page, Andy's Licorice Talk. We keep in touch with our guests, and they send us information, and sometimes people ask questions, so it's very nice. Now, this will be a little bit special because in the past, we've had 3 guests, all had spouses who played the clarinet but weren't very involved. We had Charlie Neidig, who's married to Ayako Oshima, also a fine clarinetist. We had Stanley Drucker and his wife, Naomi Drucker. And we also had John Broussier and his wife Teresa, who actually studied with Sabine Meyer. And in this chat, Sabine's husband, Rainer Vele, who teaches with her and also is quite an accomplished clarinetist, will be joining her, and we'll be translating a little bit and speaking about their relationship and everything else. So without further ado, we'd like to introduce Rainer and Sabine.
Hello.
Hi. Hi.
Hello. And
everybody.
All of you.
Hi, Andy.
Hi, thank you so much for joining us. Look at Sabine, she's dressed up nicely. I mean, this is the most I ever dress up. So thank you so much. It's so wonderful. So usually I talk about how I know the guests. I don't know either of you that well, but I can say that I've had some students that we've shared as far-flung as Australia to Israel, who have all enjoyed studying with you. And I've met Sabine a few times after our concerts in Hong Kong, and I met you both very shortly in New York in 2012 when your trio came. So that was really a pleasure. But we're going to make a little bit of history here. We're going to introduce our wonderful techie assistant and bass clarinetist Lorenzo, because he is their grand student. His professor in Florence, what's his name, Carlo?
Carlo Faille.
Faili, who doesn't have Facebook but is tuning in on YouTube, was a student of yours as well. So we're all extremely happy about it. Now, I need to say this is perhaps my favorite day of the year, because everyone knows who's been tuning in. I have 3 passions: family, tennis, and clarinet. So I need to announce it's my mother's 86th birthday today, and she's starting the day by watching. She's also German, and when I told her that where we're broadcasting from, she said, "Do you remember all that wonderful marzipan I used to buy you when you were a kid?" Okay, so happy birthday. This has been a very, very difficult time for the elderly, we know. So if anyone wants to say happy birthday, Regina, I think it'll absolutely make her day as she's locked down in her home. Secondly, I'm a huge tennis fan, and it's Roger Federer's birthday today. A wonderful tennis person. So we're very happy. And that means one more passion, and that's the clarinet. And we have a true clarinet icon here, all dressed up, and her husband, who's an accomplished clarinetist in his own right. So I have to say thank you so much for this day, August 8th. It's a wonderful day for me. So why don't we just start with what you've been doing during this period, this very strange period for performing artists. What have you been doing the last few months?
We're practicing every day. Every day. And we're making reeds. Yes, also every day.
I make the reads for no concerts.
Yes, no concert, but we do our best.
Well, that's great. So you have extra reads. I'm sure many of our listeners would appreciate if you want to share some of them with us, right?
Yeah, but the first weeks and the first 2 months or so were really, I think, the same as with other people in the whole world. Yeah, at first we were very shocked. Yeah, no one of us could imagine such a crisis. And then we saw every concert was cancelled or put in the next year, and then we spent the time for us, and we felt well, and we organized something in the house and the garden and practicing some pieces.
We never played in concert, but we practiced the pieces.
New pieces and so And then after 6 weeks or so, it was a little bit more serious for us. Yeah, and especially for the students, because then in April the semester at the music academy began again, a virtual semester, and we had to teach via Zoom or so, and we saw all the problems of the younger generation. Yeah, and they were very, very depressive, and we were more psychologists than clarinet teachers. And especially the students who studied for 4 years or 5 years, and who stood for a very good career, they from one moment to the other they stand for nothing, and they are so depressed. Yeah.
But we had always contact to each of them. Yeah, that was very important for the students to speak about the problems at home and with the family and what they should do.
And we have a very international class, and all the students was in holidays, because we had the semester we can say holidays, so they went home to their country, to Mexico, to Ukraine, to Spain, to France, and we have still students who can't come back to Germany. Our Serbian students, because Serbia is not EU, and they can't come to Lübeck, after 5 months. So it's very, very hard.
So we start with a new semester in the middle of August. So we see all together.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, because we're all having a different. We're all having different problems, but the same problems in a way. And, but I'm actually curious, Sabine. I mean, you say you're practicing what. This must be interesting. I mean, without so many concerts coming up and a little bit less teaching, you have probably a little bit more time for your own clarinet playing, just to kind of go back. What have you been practicing that you haven't been practicing over the last few years?
Practicing Bach partitas for violin.
The violin solo partitas.
Beautiful.
Transponiert in C, so you have to
transpose,
yes. And concertos, yes.
Which is a very high challenge, technically and musically. It's very nice.
And I have a new project in a Christmas project, yet in December. With the saxophone quintet Alliage. So I can practicing for the December, the new program. So it
Great.
To have more time now.
Wonderful. That's great. Now we've been really lucky here, because while many people feel locked down, they can't travel, we've been interviewing people in the most glamorous cities, ranging from Rio to London and Paris and New York, and certainly all big cities. And then I looked up Lübeck today. Okay, so those of us that have never been or are looking to travel, it seems like the most charming place. It's only 200,000 people. I mean, or a little more, and it's known for its marzipan and nut cakes and Renaissance architecture and churches. This is what I all found out about Lübeck. So I'd love to hear a little bit about your life, because most of the other people, they play in big orchestras, or they teach in universities in major cities. But it seems like you have a quaint storybook sort of life there. So I'd love to hear a little bit about it.
And it has a fantastic landscape around.
A very good landscape.
The Baltic Sea, it's not very far, only a few kilometers. And this is, the city is.
Yeah, the city is very, very nice. It's one of the oldest cities in Germany, and a very big old city. It's more than 4,000 historic houses here. And many
our
of
house
this
is also more than 500 years old.
Nearly
Wow.
500. Wow. So it's a pity that we don't do it with the iPad. Otherwise, we could have shown you our house. It's like a museum.
Wow.
as I told you, there are more than 4,000 such houses, and it's a very, very nice living, because we have a garden in the middle of the city. We have a big garden, and it's only 200 meters from the town hall. And of course, Lübeck is big enough. You don't need a
bicycle. You can all.
And Lübeck is big
walking.
enough to have a very good orchestra. We have a very good opera house,
theater,
and many museums. And if
Wow.
it's not enough international for us, we could go to Hamburg. It's only 60 kilometers, which means half an hour by train. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it's a very, very good quality of life.
Yeah.
So we thought in the past, in the last 10 years, we thought about going to Berlin, to the Berlin Music Academy, or to Munich. And we thought about it, but we said no. Lübeck is much better from the life balance and the life quality.
Wow. So
I think everybody of you should visit Lübeck if you come to Germany.
I was about to say, I think
forget.
the Lübeck Tourist Association owes you a lot now.
Yeah.
and also important for us was the university. We have it's a small university, Musikhochschule, but very good teachers.
Very
and
good teachers.
Friends.
Like David
there.
Geringas for the cello, Sackerbronn in former times, and now Jaime Müller for the chamber music, and so and many famous teachers, and a very small academy, so that all the colleagues, all the professors are close friends of ours.
It's a good atmosphere.
Very good atmosphere.
There, yes.
Wow. And how far do you live in Lübeck, or do you live a little bit outside of Lübeck?
No, it's directly in the inner. It's 200 meters to the town hall and 200 meters to the academy.
5 minutes to the academy.
2
Wow.
minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes to the academy.
But now I understand that you have a passion besides clarinet. You also love to raise horses. Is that right? You have a horse ranch or something? Where is that?
Ranch is
We
good.
have a
farmhouse.
a former farm, yeah. You know, Lübeck was the border to the Warsaw Pact, yeah. The border of Lübeck was the border to East Germany,
Yes.
and we bought a small farmhouse, a big farmhouse, but a small farm, yeah, in East Germany. But it's only
15 kilometers.
17 kilometers from our house here.
Wow.
You can go by bicycle if you want. And there we have horses, 2 horses.
At the moment, 2.
Yeah, at
So
the moment.
former time it was 5 horses. So
Wow.
And a
and
big,
a dog will coming.
a big organic garden. Yeah.
Yes, he's more a farmer.
I changed the
At
farmer
first it's reed
because-
maker, then farmer.
because I retired in April. 1st of April, I retired from the academy.
Oh, congratulations. I had no idea. Wow.
I worked for more than 43 years in orchestras or the academy, so it's enough.
Right.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I have this small job for making wreaths for Sabine for the next years, and my organic garden and the horses.
Wow. Wow.
It's a wonderful
Congratulations.
So
Great.
today we have to go to the farmhouse, to the horses.
To
Great.
give
Well-
water to the tomatoes.
Wow, it sounds like you've got a good plan, good thing going there. So actually, why don't we talk about until April? What was your teaching arrangement? I mean, the 2 of you, how does this work? If I was a student in Lübeck studying with you, how does this work? Do I study with one of you, or mostly with one of you, or half the time, or how does this all work?
Each of us has his own student. That was very important for the students. Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise we would have been divorced. Yeah. So every student has his own teacher, and maybe the teacher, the student will study for 3 years with me and then change to Sabine or so. Yeah.
The
But
bachelor and the master
not
with
1
me.
week with me and 1 week with Sabine. Otherwise we would have been
No.
divorced.
I see.
Also not good for the students. So
I think, and I'm very curious because I've been around for a while, and I've been hearing about the music education and conservatories in Germany, and I'm sure it's probably changed over the decades. But the way I was told was it's basically just master classes. Is that the way it used to be, or the way it still is? You teach in front of people all the time, or
No. It's just a very traditional, normal lessons every week with your teacher. And only student and teacher.
1.5
master
hours
class. every
week.
Oh,
Yes.
great.
And also Sabine, she is every week in Lübeck to teach.
Oh,
no
good.
one can imagine
Very
that.
often they was wondering, you teach every week? So why? That's normal, yeah.
And we don't have
And
any
it's
assistant.
important.
No assistant, not for 1 second in 27 years. Yeah, we do everything by our own from the first tone.
Wow.
Especially
But they have a feeling of together. The class is together. We do a lot of together. The Vorspiele. Was heißt the every week
small
we have
concerts for the
training
students
for the Mozart Concerto and parts of the orchestras. So we do it together.
Yeah.
With
And
Rainer.
coming back to your question, we started here in 1993, yeah, and it was one job. And the Academy asked Sabine whether she could imagine to get this job, and I said no, it's absolutely not possible. With 100 concerts and 2 little children, it's absolutely impossible. And 2 days later, they called us and said, could you think about sharing this job? 50% for Sabine and 50% for me. And then we said, okay, this is a good situation with the children, and Sabine has many concerts and 50% of this job, and I have this 50% and a little bit more from the children, and it was a very, very good solution for our situation. Yeah, so this was very good. And from 2000 on, I had a full job, and Sabine stood on the 50%.
Students.
So we had a much bigger class then, yeah.
I see. Yeah. It's evolved. That very good. So actually, Rhaegar, why don't we talk just a little bit about you? I mean, I heard that you've written some method books. Is that right? Could you let us know where they are, or what?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I have it here. No, it's not. It was not the idea to write another method. It's not a method, yeah. But I noticed in teaching then there are some special aspects of the clarinet which you couldn't learn with any method, yeah. It's the tone control, legato, also staccato, also intonation, yeah. You have many etudes and practicing thing for technique, for the finger technique, and everybody. We notice all over the world when we give master classes in Moscow or New York or in Peking, that all the people think it's necessary to play many notes in very few time, yeah? And this is clarinet. And you are better if you have a better technique from the fingers. But the fingers is not the main technique of playing clarinet. Yeah, the main technique is your body, your breathing, the control of the response of the tone, of the color of the tone, of the ending of the tone, of connections of tones with legato. Yeah, so it's much more singing than practicing the fingers. Of course, you need a perfect finger technique, yeah. And the second volume of my books is finger technique, yeah. This one here, the red one is finger technique.
Great. Yeah? Okay, you get everybody. You see that clarinet fundamentals. That's 2.
Yeah. But this is the most. This is the most important.
Yes.
Don't find that. Yeah. This is sound and articulation, and there are a lot of exercises to produce a good tone, which means to handle your body, and yeah, it's really more like singing.
Beautiful.
It must come with your body, to work together with your body, not separately. Yeah.
Yeah, to get a good balance. To get a good balance between you and your clarinet, which means to your clarinet and mouthpiece and reed, to the resist which the instrument gives to you. And you must be very relaxed then, yeah? And I think also as a judge, a juror in many competitions, I think this is really a disadvantage to the clarinet, because many people can play very fast, but not many people could play very beautiful. Yeah, not many clarinets are really singers with the clarinet.
Technique without musicality fundament, it's not very interesting for a long time. It's only sport.
And Also, to come back to our job at the academy, without assistant, we do everything ourselves. We think learning clarinet is more craft work. Yeah, it's really, we say Handwerk. No? Yeah. So, and we start really with the first tone. But of course, we didn't invent this. We learned it from our teacher, Hans Deinser.
No.
I very often give the example of my first lesson with Hans Deinser. Yeah? I should play Rhaegar Concertino. And we did 120 minutes, 2 hours, only the first tone.
Huh.
120 minutes, only the first B flat, yeah, and it was too loud, too soft, too hard, too early, too late, and 120 minutes. But this was here. I noticed something, how it should work with my body and the clarinet. This was so important for me, and this is the basis of our approach to the clarinet, and I hope we gave this to many of our students. I hope so.
Fantastic. So we have two former guests already. They're on here, and one is John Ye, I believe, a friend of yours who people are asking already. They want to buy the book, and they asked for the publisher, and he told everyone Schott publishes them.
Yeah, it's from Schott.
Yes, and Nicholas Cox has already put it up for everybody. And a past guest, Wenzel Fuchs, also says hello. He's nice to see everybody. So
there's also a Chinese edition for the Chinese people.
Oh, no, that's very important. There's a lot of Chinese. Thank you. That's fantastic. Now, I'm very, very curious. Anyone who's seen the show, we love we love people being productive during the COVID period, and we love people who've overcome obstacles. But one thing that's very important to me personally are documenting some of the important musicians of the past. Okay, so I would love to hear about Hans Deinser, who was a very well-known pedagogue, and I believe a teacher of yours. Is that where you met, actually studying with him? Did you?
Yes. Yeah. We met as students in Hanover. Very, very. It's more than 2 years ago. Very, very long ago. Yeah. She came as a very young student, with 17.
Wow.
Yeah. She was very, very shy. Yeah, she was very shy, and so and Hans Deinser said somebody should take care for her, and I said I will do it, and he said not you.
So you were a very disobedient student.
No, she had the initiative.
She
was not so shy as I thought.
So we love and
she knew what she wanted. She knew what we wanted.
Okay. Finish.
Well, so
we just start now.
Our very first guest was Andrew Mariner, who I think was a student there at the time. He said that he just sat there and let you guys do all the playing. He was just trying to figure it out. So we'd love to hear. Michelle Zukowski also said, who just raves about her own father as Kalman Block is a great teacher, but she said she took one lesson with Hans Deinser and she'll never forget it. So please tell us, none of us will be able to meet him. Tell us about what was so special about this man as a person and as a teacher. What did he offer you that was so special?
Yeah, he offered his personality. Yeah, he offered his personality, and he was engaged to you. So I can compare, because I had two teachers, Hans Deinser and Guy Deplu in Paris. And Guy Deplu was a very good teacher, but he told us what he knew, and then it was up to you to do it. Yeah, so it was not a very personal contact. It was just telling something, and then you go home and it's your problem.
And Hans Deinser was completely different.
The complete opposite. Yeah, he was so engaged, and he wanted to he loved all his students, and he spent a lot of time. My longest lesson was 7 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, my longest lesson, 7 hours.
Never boring. Und hat alles auf einen Punkt gebracht. Das Problem.
He could solve the problem. So, yeah.
And you could work with this problem. Fantastic, yeah. He has so many ideas to find a way to realize.
And I think he was I don't know where he had this from, but he was a very, very genius teacher. I sometimes I tell the story from Sabine. She came with 17 from Stuttgart, and she studied in Stuttgart already. She had 2 years in Stuttgart, and the teacher there was very old-fashioned, and very, very close.
One way.
And he could only make pressure. And Sabine had problems with the staccato, and he always said, "Oh no, you don't practice enough." Yeah, and so she got a complex to the staccato. And then she came to Hans Deinser with 17, and she was very, very sad and said, I can't be a clarinetist, I have no staccato, and so on. Yeah. And Hans Deinser said, it's no problem, Sabine. You will play for 1 year, no staccato, everything in legato. 1 year. 1 year, no staccato. Yeah. It's no theme for 1 year. And of course, it solved itself then. Yeah, and this is very, very, very strange, to do this as a teacher. And he was sure it's no real problem. It's only a problem in her head, And he said, okay, 1 year, no legato, and then the problem is gone. And it happened.
It was never a problem.
Yeah, this is a very good example for Hans Deinser, because he was so unconventional. As a person, I started in 1974, and the late 60s were the student revolts in Europe, and so and the society changed to a more modern and more democratic people, and Hans was such a person. He was the first in Europe to play period instruments. He was the teacher and the contemporary music in Darmstadt, Kranichstein. So the Isang Jun and Boulez and Werner Haider, and all the composition are written for him. He was the most progressive clarinet player.
Wow.
And he was not very conventional, which was a problem. It was also a problem for pupils of Hans Deinser to get a job in the orchestras, because the orchestra musicians said, no, it's too progressive,
Yes, understand. Well,
we got our jobs, She got the job in the Bavarian radio, and in Munich Philharmonic, and then Berlin Philharmonic, because the time changed. In this time. It was a very interesting time.
Yeah. And so just remind me, where was that? Which town was he teaching in?
In Hanover.
And
he has a different way to play clarinet, a different understanding for this instrument, much more flexible, more the tone and the Art und Weise, how.
But if you talk about this, it's interesting who was the teacher of Hans Deinser. The teacher of Hans Deinser was Rudolf Gall. You know the name?
I don't know the name.
Rudolf Gall, an old German clarinet player. He spent the 30s, 1930s, the Hitler time, in Amsterdam in the Concertgebouw. This Mengelberg, he was the principal clarinet player of Mengelberg. And after the World War, he went to Munich radio orchestra. And he was a great clarinet player, but the traditional German school. So very bright tone, and so but very, very open-minded too. And the teacher of Rudolf Gall was Philipp Dreisbach. You know him?
No.
Philipp Dreisbach was principal clarinet player in Stuttgart, in Stuttgart Opera House, and professor in Stuttgart Academy. And he got the job before the First World War. Wow. And he was from Alsace. And before the First World War, the Alsace was Germany. So he came as a German clarinet, but he was Böhm clarinet player. Philipp Dreisbach played Böhm clarinet, yeah, and he taught at the Stuttgart Academy till 1960 with the Böhm clarinet, yeah. And he was a brilliant.
Not a problem.
So the Hindemith Quintet and I think Rhaegar Quintet were premiered from Philipp Dreisbach. Yeah. So we stand in a row from Hans Deinser, Rudolf Gall, Philipp Dreisbach, which goes a little bit in the French direction.
Wow. So actually, I know that you have a very international class and many play Böhm system. I'm just curious. First of all, do either of you play to some degree Böhm system? If you have to, can you pick it up and play a Brahms sonata, let's say, at that level?
Brahms sonata is no problem. Yeah, I have a very good. Sabine doesn't play Böhm clarinet. Because she's able. She's able. Yeah. But you don't have a Böhm clarinet. I have. I have a very good. No, it's mine. Yeah, I bought many years ago a used Selmer S2, and I like it very much. And I have a very good mouthpiece, of course, Böhm clarinet, yeah, from Peter Eaton in London. So because I notice in teaching, if you do such tone exercises, yeah, and you play your German clarinet, and then the student plays the French clarinet, and the student thinks, German clarinet is different.
Yes,
but it's not so different. It's not so different, yeah. And so I took the Böhm clarinet and a good read on this Peter Eaton mouthpiece, of course, a French read then, yeah, of course. And then I can show the student my opinion of a good tone on the Böhm clarinet. And later I bought an A clarinet from Buffet from 1929, which is very special, very beautiful instrument.
Wow. So,
but we can't play Nielsen Concerto on Böhm system.
Brahms sonata, beginning of Mozart Concerto, it's not a problem.
Yeah, Rhaegar Concerto, yeah.
Great. So,
Rhaegar is schon schwieriger.
Well, as teachers, do you know? Obviously, each student has their individual strengths and weaknesses, but do you notice general things that you need to work on more with the Böhm students, and general things you have to work on more with the German system students?
No, they all have the same problems. They all have the same problems. Yeah, it's the same problem. Yeah, of course the musicality is same. Yeah, on the systems. It doesn't depend on systems, and of course there are some things to have a very good tone in the third register. Yeah. That's not too thin there, yeah, or so, yeah. But it depends more to the combination reed and mouthpiece than to the system.
Yeah,
very good.
Not a question of the fingering, yeah.
To have a free tone.
Yeah, a feel and free and strong
colorful
tone. Yeah.
And so I'm curious again, because obviously it's on my mind. The experience of studying as a music student, 40 years ago with Hans Deinser, was it a similar training program as your students would have today? Were there different classes? Was it just a very normal, it hasn't evolved much, or you understand what I mean structurally? I mean, you took your lessons with him. It's very much the same program as studying with you today.
It changed a little bit, yeah. Of course, we have the basics from Hans Deinser, and we have the same aim and the same opinion about the clarinet, yeah. But Hans Deinser had no written exercises, nothing. It was all the whole lesson was like improvising, yeah. It was improvising, and we developed this system. And my books, Clarinet Fundamentals, are based on what we learned from Hans Deinser.
Beautiful.
But we put it in a system, and of course we developed a lot, and we went on the way, and it was a long way. It was a really long way.
Great, yeah, great. So now we all have
mostly the lessons with the students. We start with the tone exercises, and then a little bit technique, and then the pieces. So that's what Deinser also.
Yeah, it's the same like Deinser did with us. Yeah.
Great. Now, you mentioned both of you were in an orchestra early on in your career in Munich, and then I have seen not so long ago, but a little bit long ago, Sabine playing principal clarinet with Obato doing all the Mahler symphonies in Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
we together.
Oh, you're in it. I'm sorry. Okay. And
also Wolfgang. The whole
Wolfgang.
Trio di Clarone played in
No, I have a wind ensemble. In the beginning of Lucerne, all the wind ensemble, all the members of my wind ensemble played in the Lucerne Festival.
Wow.
Okay. A fantastic wind group.
This was Abbado's special wish. You know, the new Lucerne Festival Orchestra should base on the tradition of Lucerne Festival. You know this tradition?
No, I don't.
Toscanini founded the Lucerne Festival in 1938 because in Salzburg there was, in this time in 1938, it was not allowed for Jewish musicians to play. And then Toscanini said, I won't come to Salzburg. It's a no-go, yeah. And he founded in this year the Lucerne Festival. And then he founded a Lucerne Festival Orchestra from Swiss musicians and many Jewish musicians. And at the first desk of the strings was a Busch Quartet. The whole Busch Quartet made the first violin, second leader of the second violin, and so, the Busch Quartet. And it was a tradition after the Second World War, only Swiss musicians in this Lucerne Festival Orchestra. And then the level of the orchestra went a little bit down. And then Abbado thought to recreate this orchestra, and also Toscanini's idea to have chamber music ensembles to play in this orchestra.
And good friends
of him. And he wanted to have the wind ensemble Sabine Meyer as the section for the woodwinds, and then the Alban Berg Quartet and the Hagen Quartet in the strings. Wow. And the tutti player were the Mahler Chamber Orchestra.
Wow.
And this was his experience, and his main idea was to have an orchestra where no one is against him. Yeah. You know, for a chief conductor in every orchestra, you have at least 10 or 20 person who are against you, yeah. And he wanted to have an orchestra where everybody is not against him and all are close friends. And in the first time it was amazing. Yeah, the first 5-6 years were such an amazing impression. Yeah, and
it was a fantastic combination to play wonderful music with the magic conductor together with fantastic musicians and friends in a wonderful landscape and nice city of Lucerne, and this fantastic concert hall.
Fantastic concert hall, yeah. And his wish was to have 2 programs with the orchestra, and between the first program and the second program, in the rehearsal time for the second program, we made chamber music all together.
It was no holidays.
No, it was hard work. Hard work.
So I think, with my limited knowledge, I think of Sabine having started her solo career literally in her early to mid 20s, and this is sort of 30 years later. What kind of orchestral what has orchestral clarinet playing role in her life? What has it played in her life? I mean, other than Lucerne, has she been in other orchestras over the last 30 or 40 years?
For Sabine?
For me?
Yeah, for Sabine.
No, she played in Bavarian Radio for 2 years, and then Berlin Philharmonic.
But I played
and
a
then
lot
in Lucerne Festival.
Yeah, and I played a lot orchestra as a child.
Yeah,
in the Bundesjugend and student orchestra,
the youth orchestra.
Each Eastern and summer and winter, we have 2 weeks and study the program and have concerts.
I understand that you're very accomplished. Well, I understand you're an accomplished and experienced orchestral player, but it's so interesting to me that over 35, 40 years, you hardly then played it all in orchestra, but this orchestra it seemed to be a very special thing that you wanted to do.
Yeah, but for us, when we started as students, no one of us, and also not Wolfgang, also thought about becoming a soloist.
I never want to be a soloist.
We never wanted to be a soloist. We want to play in an orchestra, in a good orchestra.
The fantastic repertoire of the instrument is in the orchestra and chamber music.
So our dream would have been to be principal clarinet player in two good orchestras. Not in the same orchestra, because then you have to change, but in two good orchestras. And it was a problem for Sabine and me, because Germany has many orchestras, but two very good orchestras in one city is only possible in Hamburg, Berlin, or Munich. And we started in Munich, she in the radio and I in Munich Philharmonic, but we didn't have the real principal clarinet job. So we had to change to another orchestra, and then she changed to Berlin, and then with all the trouble and all the stress, it was a horror time for Sabine, and then we decided to for us as a couple, then we decided that I will go to a good orchestra. I changed to Hanover Radio Orchestra as a principal clarinet player, and she decided for a long time to don't join an orchestra to play chamber music and solo. And it's in her career, it's always 50% chamber music and 50% solo.
If you have child, you cannot do all children.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot play an orchestra, play chamber music, and teaching and solo.
So if we look back, it was very good for us. Yeah, if we look back. But my wish would have been that she played a little bit longer in an orchestra, because it's the best literature for clarinet, to play Bruckner, Mahler, Beethoven, Brahms, Shostakovich, Mahler, Ravel, Debussy. It's such an amazing thing to play in an orchestra.
Right. But I'm just personally amazed at the idea that she goes off for 30 years. And when they say, by the way, can you come back and play in an orchestra in Lucerne? She sits down and plays as if she's been playing a full-time job, like it's nothing, like riding a bike.
It was really stressy for her, really stressy, because it had such a public relation with television and everything, and most of the Mahler symphonies for her were the first time to play, and the focus, and she was.
And Abbado, from the first rehearsal, it has to be intonation all perfect.
Did you play with Abbado?
No, I didn't, and I would like if you would now. We've talked about Hans Deinser. It sounds like he was a very special person to you. Would you want to talk a little about him as an artist and as a person as well?
Yeah, Abbado is a fantastic musician, and the concerts were amazing. One of the strongest situations in our life. But he is not a very helpful conductor.
No.
Not very. I played some years with Chili Vidake, and Chili Vidake gives everything which is necessary for the wind players, and so you are in no second you are alone.
Sometimes you need the first beat.
And he was really also Chili Vidake was a genius. And Abbado is also a genius, but he played a little bit like this. And then the woodwinds should be together. And if they are not together, he was very angry. So it was not easy.
Italians don't have tempers, right, Lorenzo? Not at all. Right?
Sometimes Sabine went to him in the intermission of the rehearsal and said,
"Please,
Claudio, you have to give us
this." Please.
We need it. And then he did it, For Sabine, he did it.
Well, I think she's a lot more charming than I am, because I've tried that a few times, but it didn't end as peacefully as what you're describing. So
Sabine is very, very good in handling strong men.
Yeah. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. So let's see. I would like to. hear a little bit. I'm so fascinated about what you're hinting at the beginning of your relationship and your careers and how you moved around. So how did your relationship evolve? In my mind, right, being a few years below, I was a student when Sabine came out with her Mozart Quintet record, right? That was the first one that I knew about studying in America. She's looking at me like she's never recorded that piece or something.
Catastrophe.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Forget it.
Well, what I'm saying is, was that a turning point? She had sort of at that point finished orchestral playing the Mozart Quintet, and it seemed like then she moved on in a different direction. And that's my perception. Is this correct?
Yeah, it's not very correct, because the career of Sabine started before the orchestra time. She went to the orchestra in Munich in 1981, but she had the contract with this famous concert agency in Hanover, Schmid agency, in 1980. So she had the contract as a soloist before she joined the orchestra, and she had many good concerts besides the orchestra, and so because she was Konzertdirektion Hans Ulrich Schmid, which is the one of the most important agencies in Europe.
I see. So good.
It was parallel. It was parallel. Her solo career and the orchestra was parallel.
I see. So now, I was hearing that this was pre-internet. And to hear about orchestras and musicians on another continent was all a little bit remote. It wasn't like now where we're all having conversations, people, in real time. Now, what I had heard, the rumor was that you became her manager in some sort. Is that true at all?
I'm not a manager. No.
Okay.
I'm not the manager.
She's managing the family.
I manage the private things. Okay, your banking and everything, taxes, and so and of course all the mails, and so. But we have the Konzertagentur, the agency.
Okay.
Which is the real manager. But of course, there are many things for you to manage privately. There are many requests, especially since the last 15 years with the internet. Many requests come directly to you, not from the agency.
Right.
And we try to be friendly people.
And I had always a very good situation dass man entscheiden kann, was man tun will.
That you can decide.
I can decide what I want to do and how many concerts I want to play.
For example, there is
which musicians and how many solo concerts or how many chamber music.
Yes, I sit.
A good situation.
I'm the boss of the calendar of the schedule.
Neinsager. Yes, but he's the person
agency,
who say no.
The agency call me saying no, Neinsager. Because I cancel many concerts.
Word.
Yeah.
No.
And the other thing is your example. There's a mail of a famous Australian guy who is a principal clarinet player in Hong Kong, and he asked for an interview. And then my daily work to tell this to Sabine every day. And of course she says, no. And then this is my managing work. I said, maybe it could be nice and look to his videos. And next day I say, did you think about it? And so, this is my managing work.
Well, we're going to take a lot of credit for this because her instinct was no. And she saw some of the videos. And as I understand it, she thought this was going to be a little bit different from the other interviews, a little more fun, a little bit more comfortable. And so we're extremely happy about it. So thank you so much for doing it. How is it so far? Are you having a good time?
Yes, we have time.
Okay.
But we have to go to the horses today.
we have half an hour. An hour. Then we have to go to the tomatoes. To get water in the tomatoes.
Okay. So now, what I'd like to know, what I'd like you to do now is, if it's okay, I have checked with them before. Since we're giving shout outs to past masters and people that have touched us musically and personally. The whole clarinet world was extremely saddened to hear about Sabine's brother's recent death, Wolfgang, who was in your trio. But we want everyone to be comfortable and happy, but we wanted to also give the opportunity to document a little bit about him and his career and this sort of thing. So feel free to say whatever you want or not say anything or whatever.
Do you want to start?
Mm-mm.
He was an extraordinary.
Now, how many concerts we played with Wolfgang, with the trio?
With the trio and with Lucerne Festival, about 1,000 concerts together, yeah. And Sabine and Wolfgang,
and
more than 1,000 concerts together. And you
double
can't
concertos.
you can't imagine the relation between Sabine and Wolfgang. Yeah? They come from a very small village in South Germany, and really a village, yeah. And the mother was not a musical person, yeah. She comes from a family of bakers, and the father, he was a musician, and he was a very, 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 very talented musician. And it's a very talented musician family. Yeah?
He was not only playing classical.
And he studied. He was born in 1920, so in 1938 he was 18, and he started to study piano and clarinet, both at main courses.
Yeah.
But only 1 year. Then was the Second World War, and after the World War he couldn't study, and he had to earn money. And in this village were the American soldiers with a big company, and he played for the Americans. Yeah? He had the first big band in Germany to play for the Americans, and then he got cigarettes and chocolate and so, yeah. And he played many instruments. He was a very good clarinet player, a very good piano player. He played guitar, accordion, and so, yeah. And
he was teaching all these instruments.
All these instruments, and he had a music shop. So all the instruments were there. And then Sabine and Wolfgang grew up. Yeah. And Wolfgang, of course, he played piano. As a young boy,
older brother or younger brother?
5 years older.
Okay.
5 years. So Wolfgang and me are the same age. Okay. Yeah. He started with piano, and then it was a very nice story. They had the Stadtkapelle, which means the wind band or brass band, wind band from this village. Yeah, and they had a partner city in France, and they wanted to go to France in summer. And Wolfgang said, I want to go with. Yeah, he was 8 years old. And Papa, the father Meyer said, oh, you must learn a wind instrument, of course. Yeah, it's not possible with piano. Yeah, we need an E-flat clarinet. And then he got lessons for 3 months. And then he joined the orchestra and went the band and went to France. Yeah, and he stood with the clarinet. And Sabine, 5 years later, she started also with piano, then with violin, then with organ, and in the age of 8 with clarinet. And she learned all the 4 instruments for years, for 6 years, or 4 instruments. She's a brilliant piano player.
Wow.
But then you can imagine the situation. It was really a village with horses and cows and so, yeah. And the 2 children were over talented for this region, yeah. And of course Sabine admired her brother, 5 years older. He was the hero of her childhood. And then she did everything Wolfgang did. Yeah, Wolfgang went to Stuttgart. He followed him. Yeah,
to Stuttgart and to Hanover.
To Stuttgart and then to Hanover and so, yeah. And of course they played together since they were. Since she was 6 years old or 7 years old. Yeah, they played music together for the whole life. Yeah, and I think we can't imagine this close relation.
Yeah.
But it was always, if you played trio, you know it also. It is always a big challenge to follow him.
Yeah.
Sometimes so many ideas. At the next moment he was very, very creative. He played never twice the same. And you have to be very fast to understand in the next moment what's happened.
Wow.
musical.
Wow. Did he have like you have a university job? Did he ever play in an orchestra? Did he have a university job or anything like this?
He was professor in Karlsruhe. Long time. Yeah.
For 30 years,
Yes.
he had the professorship in Karlsruhe, and in
Great.
the south of Germany. And he did a very good job there. And he played a lot of contemporary music and also a lot of period instruments. Yeah, I don't know whether you know the recording of the Mozart Concerto with Harnoncourt.
I don't know it.
It's
Musikverein in Vienna.
the best recording of Mozart.
Produced it.
With Concentus Musicus and Harnoncourt and Wolfgang. Yeah, it's a live recording. It's great.
Well,
So
I wanted to ask you, maybe you've answered the question, is there, if you had to choose one recording of his that you want our audiences to hear, is that the one? Or if you had to say one that really moved you?
You mean for the Mozart Concerto?
No.
Discography.
It's very, very strange to decide only one recording. I think for the Mozart Concerto, I think this is the best recording because this is
the Rhaegar is very nice. Rhaegar with Kamina.
Rhaegar Quintet.
Rhaegar Quintet.
Max Rhaegar.
Great. Thank you for that. Yeah. So Mozart and Rhaegar quintets, if you want to hear.
It's a nice recording, but I think you can't buy it with Malta, with C and D flat, D clarinets. Malta concertos.
Malta, wow. Great.
Yeah, I don't think so.
He recorded more than 100 CDs, so it's very difficult. More than 100. It's very difficult to pick one out.
His last concert he played in jazz club in Mannheim.
Wow.
He played in the
his closest
year.
friend in Karlsruhe is a very good jazz saxophone player. And in his last years, when he got weaker and weaker, he played a lot in jazz clubs.
With him together. And
great. We have for me, very interesting. Our friend Johannes Nauber, who's in the Cologne Orchestra, he plays extra with the Hong Kong Philharmonic sometimes, but he came to the Hong Kong Arts Festival in 2014 when Sabine played the Mozart Concerto. So he's sending regards to Lorenzo and me and Sabine. He's all connected with everybody here playing in Hong Kong. And he's a cellist, but he's a regular viewer of our show. So we're really happy about that. Say hello, Johannes. Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, well, thank you so much for sharing that. Now, I have no idea what this is about, but a mutual friends of ours, I said, can you think of any stories or something I should come up with? Hopefully it's not too embarrassing, but they said she has a very funny story about a reed in a Rossini recording. Does that mean anything to you?
Yeah. You know the story. Yeah. So I'm the reed maker. Yeah? I'm not the rainmaker, I'm the reed maker. Yeah. And she had the recording with Wolfgang together. She made many, many recordings with Wolfgang as a soloist. Yeah. And they recorded the 2 double concertos from Krommer. And each of them played one Rossini variations. Yeah. Wolfgang played the C major, the smaller. And Sabine should record the introduction theme and variation, the bigger one. Yeah. And for the Krommer, it's okay if the reed is a medium. You can play on every reed the Krommer. Yeah. But for the Rossini, for the articulation and all the fine tonal things, you need the very, very good reed. Yeah. And I made the reeds, and she knew. This is my good in the reed box. She said, "This is my good reed." Yeah, and then she recorded the Krommer on a little bit normal reed and changed to the recording for Rossini and took this very good reed, and it didn't work. But she recorded. She didn't feel well. She recorded terrible. And after the recording, she noticed that she had the reed case in the wrong side. So it was not the best. It was the worst.
No.
This reed case.
Yep.
What a pity. What a pity. I wouldn't hear it. It's a marvelous recording, yeah. But I know how she felt in this recording. Yeah. This is a pity.
Wow. Wow.
This is the Rossini story.
Well, so now I'm curious about your career. Like you've mentioned, at one point you had young kids and half-time university jobs and this and that. So in your solo career, which is really quite unusual. I mean, there aren't that many clarinetists that I could talk to that have had a really thorough solo career for 40 years or so. So what was there a busier time when you were doing more solo concerts? Like what year was it? What sort of period over the last 40 years was she most busy in her traveling around and playing concertos and chamber music and this sort of time? Or has it been pretty even?
Nein, schon die letzten 15, jetzt die letzten Jahre nicht mehr so viel. Ne?
After the Berlin time, when she started the solo career, there were many concerts in a year, more than 100.
More than 100. Wow.
Between 100 and 120. Great. And then she got pregnant.
Yeah.
She got pregnant, and we saw, which was also a good story because she was very, very stressed from the years between 1980 and 1986 or so. Yeah, it was really a lot of concerts and the stress in Berlin, and she wanted to do a sabbatical. In 1987. Yeah, and it was not a whole sabbatical, it was not a whole year, but she didn't have concerts between April 87 and December 87. Yeah, she wanted to rest. And then in end of 86, she got pregnant, so that our son came just in this sabbatical, so, which was very good. Yeah, and we had enough time to think about what shall we do now? Because we didn't plan everything in advance. Yeah. Now she was pregnant, and we knew it couldn't go on as usual, and we put down all the concerts from 120 to 50. We said with two little children, I can reduce something, and she will reduce from 120 to 50. Yeah, and we went to the agency and said no more than 50 concerts in a year, and no traveling more than 10 days, even Japan, including the travel, which means for Japan, only 6 days or 7 days in Japan. And the agency said, no, it will not work with this instrument. You are not a pianist, you are not a violinist, with a clarinet, you can't do this. And we said, we will do this. We will very consequent, And we had,
consequent.
I was consequent. I was the agent then, But the chief of this agency, it was an old man, and he felt something like emotions like as if he the father of Sabine. Yeah, he was like a father to her, and he said, "Okay, we will try." And then we had for 10 years or 12 years on about 55 concerts. And then
it would be 80, 90,
when the children get older, they wanted Sabine to have more concerts, to be outside, that they can go to the disco and so,
So at normal 80 concert, that was the level.
Now it's between 50 and 70. Between 50 and 70.
So,
which is a lot, but it's enough. It's enough.
So I want to ask you, and I don't think there's many people I can ask this to. Someone like me, who's primarily an orchestral player, but does not nearly as many solos as Sabine. My impression is that I would like to know of the standard repertoire the portion that's normal to be asked to do. Like, my impression is that the Mozart, of course, is an overwhelming one that's asked to do. That's something that orchestras feel they have to do. And then my experience is the Copland Concerto, actually, because you have American programs that are put on occasionally, so it gives you an excuse to schedule that. I mean, what percentage of concertos would you say that she does are the Mozart Concerto? Let's just start with that. I mean, is it 30%? Is it 70%? Is it 50% in a year on average?
Das meiste ist schon Mozart-Konzert.
Yeah, but at first of all, you must say what I told you before. More than 50% of her concerts are chamber music.
Okay, but of the concerto,
from the solo concertos, of course, the Mozart is the major piece. It's the best piece in the world for wind instruments.
Sure, but what I'm saying, I mean, is it is it 80% of her concertos? Is it 90%? Is it 30%? I understand that it's more than all the other pieces.
It differs to the years. It differs.
Sometimes it's more Mozart, more Weber, or more Copland, or Nielsen. I played Nielsen.
There have been very few, but there have been years without a Mozart concerto.
Wow.
Yeah, but very few, yeah.
But that's a big deal. She's doing an average of 80 concertos.
We try to offer the promoters other concerts like Nielsen, Copland, Weber, or combinations like
Takemitsu,
Debussy, or Debussy Scaramouche, or Spohr, the fourth concerto of Spohr, so yeah, or modern pieces like the Illich, Martin Illich, which is a very good concerto. So yeah, but normally if you play, this is a little bit of a problem. If you play in a very, very big with a big orchestra in a big row where on the
that's the instrument
world
problem.
stars, and then the promoter say, if we take a clarinet, it's an exception, then we want to have Mozart
or Weber.
So
right, yeah.
With the bassette clarinet, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
But sometimes we had combinations. We have had 1 year ago a very good tournée with 12 concertos and concerts in Germany. She played Weber concerto, and then we played a Mendelssohn.
Yeah, genau.
Weber Mendelssohn, or so. Yeah, some combinations.
Very good. Great. Let's see. I mean, does she consider herself? I consider her a pioneer of sorts. I mean, first, 40 years ago, there weren't that many well-known female clarinetists, and there weren't that many clarinetists, I think, that ended up with really a thorough discography. I mean, she really has recorded so much of the repertoire, but 40 years ago, when I was a student, this was both of these things were quite unusual. Does she consider herself a pioneer at all?
Ob ich immer noch ein
Ob du dich als Pionier fühlst?
Yeah.
It's a difficult question. Difficult question. Eh?
But we don't like
now it means it's a female person.
Yes.
Yes and
Ich
no.
bin schon
Yes
sicher,
and
dass
no.
das Instrument bekannt gemacht wurde.
Yeah. She
meine...
took this instrument in the focus. Yeah. So she is a pioneer for the instrument. Yeah. But it's not male or female. Yeah. It's a success for the instrument. It's a success for the instrument. Yeah. On the other side, are some difficulties for women to get a good place in an orchestra. Still nowadays, yeah, after 40 years, yeah. So it's not easy but I think it's not only with musicians, it's in other jobs, it's the same. If the woman want to have a very, very good job, then it's very difficult, yeah, to get to the board of a company, or to get a principal clarinet player, or to be the how do you say in English, the Concertmeister, first violin. Yeah, this is very difficult. It's not difficult to get a place in the second violins, yeah, or second clarinet is easier, yeah. But there are some male men, yeah, who sit in the orchestra in the second clarinet, and if there comes a principal clarinet as a woman, they feel not good. Yeah, they feel uncomfortable. Yeah, and this problem is not solved. This will be a problem for many decades. Yeah, and this is still there. This problem.
Well, now that you have recorded so many works, I'm wondering, are there any, first of all, standard works and perhaps not so standard works that she wished she had recorded or wants to still record? She feels bad that she hasn't recorded yet.
Im Moment möchte ich gar nicht mehr so.
No, she doesn't
like to do so many records.
More and more, she doesn't like recordings.
My recording, I don't like this. Also, the Stamits are quite okay.
But there is one.
But I like more to play concerts with public, and that's much.
I think she recorded nearly every piece, yeah. But there is one major piece she didn't record. This is the Messiaen Quartet.
Really?
Yeah, she didn't record.
But I will. It's planned.
But it's planned. It's planned.
Great. Great.
Of course, beside the major repertoire, we have many ideas what we could record, yeah. But it's a question whether we should record or it should be younger persons to record something.
Well,
students now, they should do
very
it.
good students. She recorded more than 60 CDs, yeah, so it's enough. It's enough.
well,
she's old. If she's old in 50 years, she will be old, yeah. And then she sits there and 60 recordings. It's enough to hear every day another recording. And so
Never.
Let me ask you, I mean, having done this for 40 years and the world's changed a lot, I'm just curious, has she seen an evolution in the industry, in her life of being a soloist over 40 years? Is it a different world now than it was 30 years ago or 20 years ago or 35 years ago? Has that changed a little bit?
Publikum. In Germany, you mean?
No,
in Germany,
all over the world.
all
Over the world. There are changes, yeah. Of course, there are changes, yeah. You know, 40 years ago, it was more a traditional audience and traditional rules. You have to wear good clothes and so on. It was very, so that our children wouldn't go to such concerts, yeah. And now it changed a little bit, yeah. And of course, it changed in different countries. If you look to China.
It's very young.
It's very young audience. Yeah, the average of the audience in China is 25 years. Yeah. In Germany, the audience for classical music, the average is 80 years. Yeah,
that's right.
But
and this is
they try to change.
This is very dangerous. So the times have to change. Yeah, and the concert series should change. Yeah, and offer for younger people different forms of programs or places where to play. Yeah.
Important.
And it must be more excited.
Concert halls.
More excited. And we see it with our children because they are very musically and played instruments. They are not musicians, but they like the music, but they are very critical audience. And this is very interesting. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So in this side, yeah, I think the changes are not big enough. They should be bigger in the classical section.
How would you like to see the changes? Give me examples of suggestions you would have, or either of you.
There are many festivals in Germany which are much, much more open, yeah? They have different locations to play, or open air, or concerts with picnic, or longer concerts, or shorter concerts, or special themes for the concert.
We have a very famous festival, the Schleswig-Holstein Music Festival here.
This is here in our country.
This time it's called Festival der Möglichkeiten. It's
which means
der Possibilities.
Yeah, Festival of Possibilities.
And so beautiful, nice ideas to play concerts or the smaller concerts in a balcony or in a truck.
Yeah.
The truck is driving through the city. It is very, very unusual, but so nice to come in contact with peoples. Yeah, you never go in a normal classical concert normally.
Great. Wow, interesting. Is there anything when you were starting out in your 20s, let's say, that you wish a mentor had told you? Is there something that surprised you when you started entering the field, and is there something that you wish perhaps an older teacher or someone had advised you on?
Ob du irgendwas vermisst hast, dass einer dir was gesagt hat. No, I don't think so, because we had many people who from whom we learned. Yeah, it was not only Hans Deinser, it was all the musicians we played with. Yeah, conductors like Celi Bitake or violin players like Sándor Vég, for example.
A lot with Guidon Kremer.
Or Guidon Kremer.
Heinrich Schiff.
Yeah.
Talk a lot of, not only about music, also about
life,
about the life and problems, what we have. So it's fantastic.
So I think we had a lot of input. We were really lucky persons. Yeah, a lot of input from experience and also very old people like Sándor Vég or so. Yeah.
It's a long time ago.
You know Sándor Vég, the
Yes.
the violin player, yeah, which was really a totally other generation, yeah.
Or the peoples of the Alban Quintet.
Quintet, or so, yeah.
Great. Well, so as you mentioned, you touched on it earlier on, but as people who give master classes around the world, what are the kinds of commonalities that you see, whether it's Australia or America or, as you say, Peking or Germany, and things that you gravitate to in your teaching, i.e., general problems you see, strengths and weaknesses, and things that you gravitate to all the time?
Was du bei dem Masterclass merkst an Schwächen oder so. Yeah, we don't like the master classes. Yeah, especially the master classes of 1 day or 2 days. Yeah, and then you have 1 lesson or 2 lessons with Sabine Meyer. Yeah, and normally you can't tell the person in 1 lesson or 2 lessons what we want. Yeah, you could. The only danger is that you disturb this person. Yeah, you can say everything is wrong what you do, yeah, and then this person goes home and it's very sad, yeah. But what we try to do with our students is a long way, yeah, and we can't go to a master class and say, I notice how you play, and I'm sure your teacher must be very bad, yeah. You have a very bad teacher, yeah. It's no solution. It helps no one to say this, yeah, and so it's I think it would be
to open the eyes a little bit more in some directions.
Hans Deinser, when Hans Deinser retired, he lived for a long time in the year in Italy, and he had master classes. You had to make an audience for this master class, and it was 4 times in the year, 4 times. Every time 1 week, so 4 weeks in 1 year. You had to come for all the 4 weeks, yeah. And this is a very good idea, because then you can develop something step by step, and you can see how did it work, and then you can go on, and so yeah. But of course, we do master classes because there are some students you want to know you a little bit better and your teaching, and we had many people. They came then to Lübeck to study with us, yeah. And it's better to have them on a master class as to have them only in the entrance examination, yeah, for 8 minutes or so, yeah.
Right. What do you look for in students? What do you look for in students? When someone comes to play an entrance exam for you, what are you looking for?
To the personality.
For the musicality substance, yeah. What he want to tell you. And not only fast fingers, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you have them 1 day before, yeah, they write you and say, can I play for you before the entrance examination? I say, yeah, it's very good, yeah. And then they come, and they are very nervous, and then the wrong note, and then they are more nervous. And I say, no, it's no problem, the wrong note, yeah. Try to be yourself. Try to show us what you want to say with the music. Yeah, it's not wrong note or not wrong note. We want to have people who want to tell something with the music, because music is a language. It's a communication between you and the audience, yeah? And you must be a person, and you must show your personality in this 8 minutes. It's difficult, but this is the most important things. But of course, we are. I always say this is the most important day in the year is the entrance examination of the academy, because there there we can do so many mistakes to take the wrong,
Right.
The wrong decision, or don't see the personality of one person or so, very dangerous.
So why don't we finish up both taking COVID into account, but generally speaking, what advice would you give young people on anything, life, clarinet playing, music, and how to deal with the circumstances right now? But general advice and guidelines.
Ein Rat geben.
I would say stay curious, and stay creative. And try to have
step by
ideas.
step,
Ideas, yeah.
Nicht
I think
verrückte
you won't have a good career only in playing clarinet. Yeah, and playing clarinet louder or faster than the other. You must have ideas for programs. You must have ideas for compositions. You must have ideas for combinations with other musicians or other arts. Yeah, with video or with jazz or with African music. Or yeah, and for example, our trio. 3 clarinets or 3 bassetons. How boring, how boring. Yeah, but we created very, very good programs together with other musicians. We had a very, very good program with Eddie Daniels. Yeah, it's long ago with Eddie Daniels. We made a recording with Paquito Rivera. Yeah, we made many concerts with an opera program,
French,
which is a sort of history of opera. Yeah, and we had a very, very nice project with a German jazz clarinetist Michael Riesler and Orgue de Barbarie. Yeah, Paris Mécanique. It's Paris of the 20s. Yeah, and so the programs are very interesting, and this is what the young generation should do. They should search good ideas, yeah.
Great. And I'm very sorry to say, but can you somehow
to be consequent, yeah. So don't do everything. In Germany, we say, don't put your die Fahne in den Wind, your flag to the wind. Don't put the flag to the wind, yeah? So stay yourself and be consequent and try to say no to things you don't like, yeah? And don't do every, was heißt Mode? Don't go to every fashion, yeah. You must not play klezmer before the Mozart Concerto or so, yeah. Of course, people like klezmer, yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
don't hold back now, Sabine. I know you had no opinion on that.
Yeah. So think about what you do. Don't do it only to have a big audience, yeah. So this is important. But it's a small way, and you have to find it, and you need luck. You need luck to find this way. Everybody, all the young persons need luck to find the way. Yeah.
Great.
And we are very thankful because we had this luck in our life. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you and how about, you mentioned it before, but how are we helping young people during this very difficult period? Of COVID, and everything's canceled. You're worried about things. It sounds like you're very proactive working with the kids and the students. How do you give them a little bit of hope and encouragement? And how do they stay inspired to practice and feel they have, something ahead of them?
Die Hoffnung nicht aufgeben.
Yeah. Don't lose the hope. Yeah.
We don't know what happened in the next half a year. Could not say.
It differs a little bit to the persons. Yeah, you have, for example, we have some students which are in the first or second semester, so first year, and come from Germany and so on. It's not such a big problem. Yeah, but we have some students from different countries, like from Spain. Yeah, where the situation in Spain is very, very hard. You don't get a job in Spain, and then they want to get a job in Germany or in England or so, yeah. And they are short before getting a job, and for them it's very, very difficult.
The career.
Yeah. For them it's very difficult, yeah. But we try to encourage them and say, don't give up. Yeah, try to use this crisis to practice something outside of your program, yeah, and try to develop in other things, or try to do something special, learn a foreign language or something, yeah.
Learn piano.
Play piano, yeah.
Piano is nice.
Very good.
You don't need to read.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you both so much. It's really such a special experience talking with you today. We have tremendous comments from all over the world. Lots of people very inspired by this. So you've done your bit today to have potentially thousands of people by the end of the week that feel more inspired during this very difficult period. So I think on behalf of all of us, we really thank you a lot. On the other hand, we have this fantastic dream of when things get back to normal of visiting Lubeck, and we have this idea of your horses, 18 kilometers away in this beautiful city. So I feel very
You're welcome to come.
You shouldn't have said that. I think you're going to have thousands of people coming to try the marzipan. And so I understand you have a fantastic life over there. So we're going to let you go. We're going to let you get back to it. So thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And remember, if you can, like Andy's Licorice Talk, if you like the stuff that we're doing, and also subscribe to YouTube. Now we have a channel where you can watch these interviews, and you can also see all the past interviews. And one more thing, my personal advice, they're giving advice. I've listened to all these interviews. I will again. I go back, I listen to them once or twice more, and I always take notes. And you will be amazed. You'll have pages of notes, and you'll look at them, and it'll make you want to go practice. You'll learn something, and it's just exactly what we need right now. So that's my advice to you, and I follow it all the time. So thank you so much, Sabine and Rainer.
Bye bye to Hong Kong.
Hello.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Ciao.
Bye, everybody.